The TMJ-TMD conundrum is real and has been puzzling the dental and medical professions for decades. This is the TMJ-TMD Demystified podcast with Dr. Tony Urbanic, where we'll connect the dots between TMD symptoms and the actual cause. We'll tackle common TMD misconceptions and educate you, the practitioner, about a simple, tested, and proven TMD solution that has already provided relief to thousands of patients, while helping practitioners build an additional source of income free from insurance control. Welcome to this episode of the TMJ-TMD Demystified podcast.
Hello, TMD warriors. Good day to you, wherever you are. I'm Tony Urbanic, and this is the next edition of our podcast, which has everything to do with TMD, temporomandibular joint disorders. I look forward to doing this one because it's very pragmatic. I'm a very pragmatic guy, very practical guy, doctor. And one of the issues that we all share, whatever kind of doctor you are, including physicians and dentists and chiropractors, and that is our constant concern about our interaction with insurance companies. I fortunately came into our professions at what I considered and was considered at the time the golden age of medicine, the golden age of dentistry. It was a golden age from the standpoint of the doctors, because I can recall sitting in the doctor's surgical lounge and overhearing my much older colleagues talking about how they run their practice, set their fees, determine what they do and what they don't do. And they had total control. And the insurance companies weren't involved in making any decisions. The government wasn't involved in making any decisions. Physicians and also my dental colleagues at the time, this was 45 years ago, made all the decisions for their practices. And now it's not the same at all. We know that. I won't carry that any further. But it's even more of a problem now than it ever has been as we've progressed the next 45 years, and the insurance companies pretty much dictate what we do, if we do it, how much we're compensated, and a lot of other aspects to it. I am not going to go into a whole lot of details of my opinion as to whether I think that's really good or really bad, but we'll just go from the standpoint that from the doctor's point of view, all of my colleagues, both in the dental field and in the medical field, are struggling with this problem. Some of them struggling badly. So if you've watched a few or maybe all of the prior editions of this podcast, you know that I almost inadvertently developed a very successful treatment for TMD. TMD is an extremely common problem out there. I've established that roughly 45% of females have TMD symptoms. Most of them think that it's coming from someplace else, and they have been supported in that from the professions that have been diagnosed, instead of TMD, diagnosed as most common migraine headaches, neck issues, muscle issues, unusual facial pain, tic douloureux, sinus problems, dental pain, and which we went into at a previous edition. So I want to talk specifically about why and how it is advantageous to you as a dental practitioner to take up the treatment of TMD. Number one, it's a really well needed service. If you actually know how to diagnose it, which is quite simple, we talked about that previously, and you can treat it successfully in the high 90% of the time in a simple non-surgical way, it is a success for you, your community, the patient, and the profession. In this case, what we've developed, the device and protocol, is not covered by insurance. It's not covered by insurance. It's not covered by insurance because it is a medical device. We talked about that. When I did surgery on the temporomandibular joint over 2,000 times, it was, if it was going to be covered at all, it was covered under medical insurance, never dental insurance. So don't let anybody, insurance company in particular, tell you that if you have something that only treats the temporomandibular joint, does nothing inside the mouth, that it's a dental device. It's not a dental device. It treats the temporomandibular joint, just like a set of crutches would treat a knee problem. And actually, it's very similar to that. It's very similar to a set of crutches because you're taking the load off the temporomandibular joint, the inflammation goes away, and the symptoms go away. We talked about that significantly and almost incessantly. So it's all about inflammation. So when you make the inflammation in the joint go away, however you make it, surgically, non-surgically, or using voodoo, it is not a dental treatment, although you are a dentist. And the dentist, my dental colleagues and myself, are the only ones who have enough training and basic knowledge on how to use a simple device like this. So I wanted to just bring to your attention that fact that it is not covered by insurance. Now, as I go through my day, which is always quite busy, I kind of peruse all the literature, both the scientific literature and the non-scientific literature. And last month, I came across this issue of dental economics, which I'm sure every one of you either gets or knows about. It's a throwaway journal. And it caught my eye that the primary article in this issue was about attracting more patients. Excuse me, the primary article in this issue was new services, less reliance on PPOs marks success in 2021 and beyond. As it worked out, and as I read this issue, it actually had 5 separate articles on this issue. I'm just going to give you the titles. That was Title 1. The next one in here was titled Breaking Out of the PPO Prison. The next was It's Time to Fire the PPOs. The next one was Tired of Outrunning PPO Discounts. Here's a way to balance PPO participation and add thousands to the bottom line. And the last one is Escaping the Hold Insurance Companies Have on Your Practice. I think that's the one. Very direct, and I certainly believe in that strongly. If you want to have a successful practice, you need to do your due diligence, your best efforts to try to escape the hold that insurance companies have on your practice. We know that all the changes that are going on in the professions, my medical colleagues have already succumbed to it. My medical colleagues are already either employed by large hospital groups or extremely large practices of which they may own a share or they're just employees. But that's the medical profession. The dental profession is going in the same way, in the same direction. But the practicality of it is that because of what I discovered in using a simple device that unloads the temporomandibular joint and the protocol that goes along with it, we have a service that can be offered to the public who really need it. If you run the numbers on 45% of females in the United States of America who have TMD symptoms, Most of them are significant. Some of them are not so significant. Some of them are so severe that I actually have 2 documented patients, over many thousand, but I have 2 documented patients who are contemplating suicide because of the severity of the symptoms, pain, and the absolute lack of anyone who could explain it or treat it successfully. And we treated it and the symptoms went away, and you can imagine how the patients reacted to that and how they reacted to me. We have them documented. One of them's on video, did a video. Significant problem, significant numbers. 45% of the females in the United States comes up, if you do the numbers on the total population, that is 76 million women. And of course, there's 5% males, so there's a lot of males out there too, but the majority of this problem is women. So the point of this particular podcast is to emphasize and to just talk a little bit about how you can use treatment of the TMD, non-surgical treatment of the T, in your practice to smart the insurance companies to your benefit, because it's not covered by insurance. It's a medical device with no CPT code, and I think I've covered that, how that came to be in a prior issue. And so I want to emphasize to those who have interest in this, how simple it is. It is not complicated, which is another whole podcast. I ran across an article from one of my colleagues who does temporomandibular joint treatment. And his first comment out of the box is how complicated the joint is, not just how complicated treatment is. And his treatment was extremely complicated and went on for years, but how complicated the joint is. Well, this is not a complicated issue when you understand it, and is not a complicated joint. This temporomandibular joint has all the attributes of any joint and every joint in the body. It operates the same way. It has a little different anatomy. It's definitely in a different place. It definitely has a lot of very important structures very close to it, but a joint's a joint. They're all operate the same way when it comes to the physiology and the neuroscience and the physiology behind it. And that's one of the issues that I had to overcome. I mean, even I was taught in dental school how special this joint is. Well, if you think it's so special, you overlook all of the simplicity of a joint and how it compares to the other joints. So getting back to the topic. So using the Urbanic device and protocol in your practice, you have the opportunity to build a extremely successful non-insurance service, which can grow to extreme levels. I hesitate to quote the numbers in my practice. They're significant. I can say that we actually treat between 40 and 60 patients per month with the non-surgical device and the fee, and you can run the numbers in your own head and what that means to my practice. And I still practice surgery, oral maxillofacial surgery. But we see so many of these patients, I had to hire a general dentist, an associate, to see the majority of my TMD non-surgical patients, to take the load off of me so I could continue as CEO of the company, and I could continue still doing maxillofacial surgery in my practice and in my office. So the point is, it's very, very successful as far as building a practice, as far as the economics of a practice, as far as economics of a practice that is not dependent on insurance, on dental insurance. It's really easy to do. We've worked out how to market it. That's another separate podcast, and market it to the people who need it marketed to, which is the doctors who overlook it, misdiagnose it, misdirect it. And the flow of patients into your office is significant. Second part of the significance of the success economically for your practice is the number of patients it draws into your practice who wouldn't necessarily be there, but once you alleviate their symptoms, alleviate primarily pain, but there are other symptoms like tinnitus, vertigo, subjective hearing problems. They're so grateful, they want you to be their primary dentist. And as I've seen in my oral surgery practice, it drives in a lot of patients I would not have otherwise seen for dental implants and impacted teeth and extraction of teeth. In a general dental practice, almost 100% of the patients you will see with TMD need other general dental services, almost 100%. And so I have the good fortune of sending out a lot of these people to, if they don't have a dentist, to, and many of them don't, and sending out one of my colleagues and referring them the other way to my general dental colleagues who appreciate the referral, and the patient definitely appreciates the good care. So just to reiterate, it isn't me who's saying that we need to take a bold action and aggressive action on getting rid of our dependence on dental insurance. Whether or not you can do that, I think there are other comments, other methods. There are 5 separate articles in June's issue of Dental Economics regarding this. I'll let you read them yourself if you're interested, for sure. But the first one is New Services Less Reliant on PPO Marks Success in 2021 and Beyond. So I like to see everyone successful, my patients successful, my colleagues successful, the profession successful. And so I promote our service to you. And if you are interested, you can contact us at through our website. You can contact our Director of Marketing, Naomi, at naomi@tmjservices.net, and discuss it with us. I'm always happy to get in communication with you any way you wish, and we can find a way to have you join our network of providers that provide the service that enhances your practice economically, enhances your standing in the community, and that you are offering something that really helps people, that is very unique, that very few practitioners can actually offer, which is a predictable, sustainable solution to the symptoms of temporomandibular joint disorder. So for today, I'll leave it at that. I always look forward to your comments and questions, and I look forward to the next time that I have the opportunity to speak with you. So for this moment, have a successful week, and I will talk with you later. Bye-bye.